last week, for those of you that are wondering. If you haven't seen my recent video, I explained it in there, but we had really bad Wi-Fi, and luckily it's all fixed now, so I can actually go live. And we're doing a geode cake. So if you don't know what this is, it's where it's got a cutout and then you put these crystals in it. So you can break these up into little pieces and put it in there. And it's blueberry flavoured, hence the purple kind of like bitty icing at the moment. And then we're going to cover it in a blue ombre. So that's what we're going to be doing first. I have all of my icing ready in my piping bags, and then I've also got a bowl already done, so we shouldn't need to make any this live because I've got everything ready, so that's good. So yeah, we're going to get started on this 4-inch cake. If anyone's wondering, it's about 7 inches tall, and then it's 4 inches wide. So I just thought I would mention that before we get started, because I usually get asked how big they are. So because it's an ombre, it's not like a blue to white ombre, it's one of the blends, so I'm going to be putting lots of different dots all over the cake and then just spatulaing it together basically. So I am just going to start, I'm going to get the chat up on my iPad so that I can see everything. There we go. Right, so I will answer questions throughout as I see them. I'm just waiting for the chat to come up on my iPad. So I think this is a better angle than the last one, so you should be able to see like all of the cake. So we're just doing random blotches all over. First with the white, and then we'll go in with the blue. So someone said, is it possible to get a good income off of just by selling on Etsy without local deliveries? I don't think there's anything stopping you from getting a good income. Some people that just do postals make quite a bit of money off of it, and that's because they have a lot more free time. If you're doing things like cakes and cupcakes, that all takes time out of your day, whereas usually with postals you're making in bulk. So like if I do postals and I've got 10 brownie orders, I make them all at the same time, whereas if you've got lots of different orders for in person, then they're going to be wanting to collect them at different times on different days. So then that will hinder how much you can get done. So I think if anything you can get more done with postals, but I do love cakes. They're my favourite thing to do, so that means that I have to do in-person deliveries. And I do like the postals as well, that's why I have set days for things. So like I do the postals I post them on Mondays and Thursdays, and that's because I like to have a routine for postals, because if there is a lot of orders, it's such a big job that you don't want to be doing 1,000 other things at the same time. So I like to kind of restrict what I'm doing in the week. What do you use for layering and what for decorating? Which is better, buttercream or whipped cream? I get asked this question a lot. I've never used whipped cream and I don't plan to. I prefer buttercream. I think it tastes nicer and it also holds better because it can be stiffer if you need it to be. So yeah, I would say buttercream personally. I'm just filling in the gaps. There's no like right or wrong way to do this. You literally just randomly do it, and then you'll get a nice like speckled effect where you're kind of blotching it randomly. So that is the white done, and then we're just going to fill all the gaps with blue, I think. I just worry of customers being there each month for postals. There's so many people selling. I was thinking of doing hampers or something. I think it depends. Obviously, if you're doing something that is different and that they can't get anywhere else, then obviously they're going to come to you and there will be a demand for it. There are a lot of people doing the same sort of things, and that's why there's like a limit on how much postals you can do. Whereas all of the people doing very custom items, they're the ones that are making the most money. I do like trays, and I try to have as much variety as possible to make me more like desirable in that sense. But yeah, it is difficult because there are so many people doing it. But yeah, I think just try and make yourself unique. And if you are only doing postals, there's so many things that you can do. Whereas I don't have time to do like cookie bars and cake pops and all of that because I'm already doing cakes. But if you're only doing postals, then you can have a lot more time to have quite a variety of menu items. If you're thinking of postals, I'd recommend having a look at George's Bakery on Instagram. He used to do markets and now he only does postals for the moment with COVID. And yeah, he does about 1,000 different things and it all looks amazing and he does it really well. So I would recommend checking out him because you can kind of see what you can do with postals and like how much variety you can have. So we're just smoothing it now. I need a bowl to put this in. There we go. So yeah, you just smooth it out basically and then you'll get a nice ombre effect. I'm using my Finch Bakery scraper. It is a bubble scraper, but that doesn't matter, you just use the straight side. Can you explain more on delivering, some tips of what to do? Because I'm starting my baking business soon. So delivering, when it comes to cakes, I have like a strict regime for it, and that is that you put it in the footwell or the boot, and that is it. Aircon in the car. I personally keep my cakes in the fridge until I deliver it. Some people don't like to put them in the fridge because they think that it will dry them out. I have never found that, and I just advise people to get them out about an hour or two before, because I find that if you're not keeping them in the fridge overnight and someone's collecting in the morning, I worry that when they collect it in the car, or even if I'm delivering it, I worry that it's going to fall over or there's going to be some issues with it as soon as it feels the motion of a car. So that's why I like to keep them in the fridge overnight, because then it means that they're nice and set, and it only takes about an hour for them to come back to room temperature and then they're perfectly fine. So yeah, I personally just like to do that. Some people don't like to keep them in the fridge, but I would say that it's a #1 must, because yeah, otherwise I just worry, because you don't know how people are going to drive, so even yourself. So yeah, it's just safer to have them in the fridge. So that's pretty much all I can say on delivery. Footwell is my #1. I don't really like putting them in the boot unless it's a wedding cake and you have to. And obviously wedding cakes they're put in separate boxes for each tier, and you kind of set it up at the venue. So you're not doing all the final decorations at home. So I feel like you can get away with having it in the boot, but like a finished cake, I prefer not to have in the boot personally, because I like to be able to see it, especially if it's a long journey. So yeah, that, aircon, and then yeah, what else? Overnight in the fridge. Yeah, that's it. Your cakes are all amazing. Thank you, that's really sweet. Hi Amy, new here, watch all your videos. Your cakes are awesome. Thank you. Yeah, there might be some newbies here. If you are new here, then I go live usually once a week, sometimes more. I might be going live this weekend, it depends. I might go live when I'm doing some Easter orders. So, and I'm thinking that I'm going to do an Easter day in the life for this weekend, because I've got a load of Easter orders this weekend, so I thought I'll do a little day in the life. I'm doing an admin day in the life tomorrow, which will be going up either tomorrow or, what day is it? Wednesday. So it will either go up Wednesday or Thursday, and that will be all the admin I do, all the admin that you should be doing, like a bit of a checklist, and also like updating my order logs, buying supplies, basically anything like that you'll see in that video. So yeah, that is what we're doing in tomorrow's vlog. I'm just gonna, there we go, perfect. That is done. I'm just gonna flatten the top, and then that's gonna go in the fridge and we can answer some questions. and then when it comes out we need to cut some of the edge out to create the space for the geode to go, all the crystals. So on the top I'm just going to do with the leftover that you've scraped off. You can use a little bit to go over the top. So regarding delivery, what do you prefer, takeaway by customers or delivering them myself? Honestly, it depends. If it's a cake that I love and I know that they are not round the corner, then I prefer to deliver it myself, just because I know that I'm going to drive carefully, and that's just me being me. I just like to be in control, and it means that if anything was to go wrong, it'd be my fault. Like, I get to see it to their door. But I mean, collection is more convenient. It does mean that I'm not faffing around delivering, because the delivery fees that you charge are never worth the time. I mean, I don't mind, because obviously the cake is worth the time, but sometimes the delivery fee, you might charge £3, and you know, it takes 40 minutes out of your day, because I feel bad like charging any more than that. So yeah, it is a difficult one, because I don't know, I think probably just collections, just because it's easier. I am getting better in terms of like letting customers take it and not worrying. I used to worry a lot more, but I've never had any issues, touch wood, with like any accidents during driving or anything like that. So yeah, I think I'm getting a bit more like trustworthy with it. I love your videos, they inspired me to actually start the business. Oh, that's amazing, well done. That's the thing, so many people message me saying like, you inspired me to do this, and it's just crazy to me that people watch this and they're like, they take that much from the videos. But yeah, I'm just glad that you guys find it useful. I'm gonna answer the Etsy one in a minute, because I need to concentrate on this. So I'm just doing the edges now that I've flattened out the top. There we go. Right, so do you have any tips on advertising a new Etsy shop? Etsy is so like hit and miss. Like recently my views haven't been great on Etsy, but they were amazing before, so it can just be the algorithm. It's really kind of difficult to know. I would say do some research on keywords and titles. Try not to have too complicated of a title. Yeah, it's very difficult. I did do a video on Etsy and like how to get more customers on Etsy, so I'd recommend watching that, because I can't remember everything off the top of my head. But yeah, Etsy is difficult. Once you get your first few sales, I find that it promotes you a lot more. It's as if it's waiting for you to get like traffic, I guess. But I found that once I got my first few sales, it was definitely like promoting my shop, and I was getting more views. So yeah, I would just try and get as many orders as you can on there. I know it is really difficult, and advertise on like Instagram, because it's like a platform that you can use to advertise a link. Yeah, that's all I can really say on it, but most of the info is in that video. Hi Amy, that's from Kay Miller. Hello, are you new? I'm a new subscriber and you've got great content. Oh, thank you, STL Bakes. Absolutely, you're a huge inspiration. Oh, that's really sweet. And American buttercream or Swiss? Always American. I've never tried Swiss buttercream, but American is just easy, and I prefer the consistency of it. You know, you can make it stiffer, or you can make it like really smooth if you wanted to, depending on the flavouring, and it's just so much easier to work with, I personally find. Whereas Swiss, as far as I'm aware, it's a bit more faff to make, whereas this is literally just 2 ingredients, so it's so much easier. I'm going to put this in the fridge, because as you can see the ombre is done, so it needs to go in the fridge to firm up. Right, so question time everyone. Just comment in the chat your questions and I will answer them straight away, because the cake is in the fridge. Everything else is ready, so it's not even like I've got to get anything ready whilst we're waiting. It probably needs to stay in there for about 15 minutes, so we've got quite a bit of downtime to chat, because I want it to be nice and firm before I cut out the corner. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the leftovers here. We're going to use the leftovers to fill in the bit that we cut out. I think I'm only doing one cutout, but it depends how many crystals I have left, because I'm not sure how much this is going to do. I'm going to shove these in the bin quickly and then I will be back. Right, I'm back. So, note not new. I'm the baker who sent you a picture of my husband's birthday cake. It's MTG themed magic the gathering. Sculpt. Oh yes, yes, I remember that one with the fondant hand on it. Yes. Any other tips for me as I'm starting a baking business? Off the top of my head, I mean, there's so much to cover, but I have got quite a few videos on starting a business, so all I can recommend is watching those. But what I would say is try and be unique, because the thing is, there's a lot of skilled bakers out there, and obviously if they are just as skilled as you are, then you need something to set you apart. So yeah, you want to be as unique as possible, do lots of like trying recipes, trying designs, yeah, just trying new things, because again, that will set you apart from other people. And put the work in, because a lot of people think that it just comes instantly, and unfortunately it doesn't. There's going to also be months where you might not be as busy, and then there'll be months where you're crazy busy, and that is just part of it. There are different birthdays throughout the year. There's not necessarily, you know, 1,000 birthdays in one month. There might be more in January than there are in February, so you can't like get disheartened about not having as many orders, because it happens to everyone, even the busy bakers. So yeah, just be unique. Put in the time. It is a lot of time and effort to run your own business, because you are the main man for everything. But yeah, I think if you put in the work, then you'll reap the reward, if that makes sense. So you will get good things back. So yeah, be unique and put in the work. What's your favourite thing to bake and most sold flavour? My most common favourite thing to bake? Probably cakes, just because I like the decorating part. And then my most sold flavour of cake is white chocolate and raspberry, because everyone loves that, and so do I love it. And today is actually the first time I've done blueberry, so yeah, it will be interesting to see what they think of it. It was her request, but it was like a custom request. I don't normally offer it, but it was surprising how little blueberry buttercream has in terms of flavour. It wasn't crazily, because I obviously had to test it before I used it, and yeah, it wasn't like crazy blueberry, which I was quite surprised at, because I expected it to be quite of a punch. But yeah, I'm hoping she likes it. It's tasted very nice with sponge, because there was a bit of spare sponge. So what I did is I scooped a bit of icing out, obviously separately, using a separate spoon and everything, and then I cut a bit of the spare sponge, and like I tried it because I wanted to make sure that it was fine, because it's the first time I'm doing it, and it actually tasted very good with the sponge. I think it was just on its own that it was kind of a bit lost, because it was a new flavour and I'm not used to like fruity flavours. But yeah, we will see what that's like, because that is my first time ever doing blueberry. And then in terms of most sold item, it's probably brownies. I'm most popular for my brownies, like locally, and like postals, most popular is always brownies as well. I've been a huge fan for a while now, also been to most of your lives. Oh, that's really nice, thank you. I'm trying to do as many lives as possible. The cake that I uploaded the tutorial for, the 4-inch scallop cake, that was meant to be a live, but I didn't have any signal, so I just recorded it and then uploaded it when I eventually got signal. What cake pans do you recommend? PME or PME lookalikes. So that might not make sense, but if you type in PME cake tins to Amazon, you can find ones which are exactly the same as PME but they're not branded. I did this because the PME ones were going to take longer, so 2 of mine are PME, no, 4. All of my 6-inch ones are PME, and I think 2 of my 4-inch ones are PME, and then 2 of them are like unbranded, but they're exactly the same. I haven't noticed any difference, so I would just say go for the lookalikes, even if they are cheaper, because then it saves you a bit of money. But yeah, the PME style, which is the 3-inch deep, I'd recommend, because you want your layers to be a bit thicker. I would say that you want them to be at least 1.5 inches. I like 1.5 inches for 4-inch cakes, and then I like 2 to 3 inches for bigger cakes, because it's just easier to stack. How many Ferrero Rochers can you fit in your mouth? I don't like Ferrero Rochers, so I would not know that question. Yeah, I don't like the taste of Ferrero Rochers. I don't know what it is, but they are not for me. We're actually using Ferrero Rochers on this cake today. We're using Ferrero Rochers on top, and what else? Minstrels, which I just had to run and get because I forgot them. Yes. What colouring did I use? I wanted to show you this because I like to show every live. So to make this blue colour that's in here, I used a mix of the Pro Gel Navy, and this is this one, and then I used a splash of Colour Splash Light Blue, and then for the like creamy white, I just mixed it a lot. I didn't actually add any like whitener or anything to it. I just mixed it for like 10 minutes, and then that made it quite white. And we're going to be using gold leaf. So I get this one from Amazon, so it just comes in this little packet, and they're just little pieces of paper with gold leaf in, so we're using that. Then I've got some Snowflake Luster Dust, and this is the Sugar Flare one, and the shade is Snowflake. Then we're going to be using some gold decor spray, so this you can get in the range, and it's just cake decor and it's in gold. We're also going to be using some paint, so we've got metallic light gold. I've got some more Luster Dust. This is the Rainbow Dust Metallic Gold Treasure, which is this one. Excuse all the food colouring all over my hands. Then we have sprinkles wise, we're using Sprinkler UK as usual. I need to do an order for them, which I'm going to do tomorrow in the admin video. But we're using these golden balls, and then we've got the metallic rods. Then we have white rods, and then we have the larger, I think these are like, I feel like it's 6mm, something like that, golden balls. And then I'm not sure yet, but I think we might be using a bit of Gold Crunch, which is the Tesco's one. What else? These, this lady, I needed these for today, and I ordered them last week, and she was really, really nice. She sent them tracked, so that they got to me literally next day. And she's called Baker's Dream by, I think it's Aisha, and she's on Etsy. But these were like £3.75 each per packet, and she did the delivery, I think it was £3.90, but she did it tracked, so she like upgraded it for free, which was really nice of her, because I said to her, I was like, I really need them by next week, and I can't find any that look like yours. And then yeah, she said that she would send them because she wanted me to get them in time. I need to leave her a review because I was really impressed that she sent them literally the next day and they got to me the day after that. That is everything that we're using. So you can kind of, if you're watching this after the live, then you can obviously switch back and forth and see what we're using. But yeah, if I pick up anything else and use it, I'll let you know. But those are all the products that I'm using. In terms of nozzles, we're going to be using, I think it's going to just be the 2D, which is the rose nozzle. But I might use a few kind of like decorative piping like pieces of the 8B, which is this star nozzle. But I want to do the actual kind of like detail around the top in the rose nozzle, and then maybe just do a few squirts using the 8B. So those are the nozzles that we're using. Are you studying? Because I so want to know some tips on how to manage both business and studies. I'm not studying. I do this full time. I don't do anything else. I manage YouTube, I manage selling all my products that I have on my website, all the molds, merch, all of that, and I also bake the cakes, do postals, so I do quite a few different things anyway, so I can't really afford to do anything else. But yeah, I would say, depending on what your studies are, whether that's school, if it's GCSEs, I would say try and prioritise those as much as possible, because they are like more important, I guess, because it gives you something to fall back on, so I would say that they are most important. If it is like A-levels, then obviously it's up to you what you prioritise, depends what you want to do. And then if it's uni, then I would also say that that should probably be number one, and then maybe make this kind of a hobby until you build up a portfolio, just because obviously you're paying for uni. So yeah, it really just depends on what your studies are as to how much of a priority they need to be over the baking. How many orders on Etsy do you average per month? I would say that it's probably around 30 at the moment. In February, I think it was about 60, which is about 15 a week, because I can't really fit in more, because I'm kind of not used to it, so I'm doing like cakes and various other things as well. I sometimes close the listings early if I know that I can't fit it in, or if I want a day off, then I close them early, so that they go on the next week worth of postals. So yeah, I just close them early. But at the moment, because postals have gone down, which I think is because people can see each other, they aren't necessarily buying postals as much. They're doing like in-person cupcakes and stuff like that. So probably at the moment maybe like 30, but my cakes have gone up recently, so yeah, it's kind of like one for the other. My brownies have gone, my postal brownies have gone down, but then the cakes and things have gone up. But yeah, Etsy does vary quite a lot. Yes, this is live, Caitlin, and you can go back. So I don't even know how long we're into this. We're half an hour in, so you can go back and obviously watch what we've done so far, and then you can catch up. We haven't done the cake yet. We've done the main coat. We haven't done any of the geode or decoration yet, so you haven't missed that. How long did it take for your business to pick up, and how did you get to the word around in the beginning? I would probably say, I feel like the first couple of months, because it was summer last year and we were kind of in lockdown but not in lockdown, like coming in and out of it, like July to August, I feel like it was picking up very quickly because a lot of people wanted things for summer, and like cakes and things, because we were still allowed to have celebrations. And then I would say that my busiest was after Halloween. After Halloween it became a regular where like I can do it full time, but I was like tied into a part-time job in October and November, so I knew that I had to do like a month's notice, so I couldn't really leave when I started that job, but I didn't really need it necessarily after kind of like October, November time, so then I quit that, and then now I'm just full-time. But I would say maybe like 3 to 6 months, because it really does depend. If you're very unique and you do something that someone doesn't fill that gap in the market in your area, then you're going to pick up quickly. Whereas if in your area there's loads of bakers, then you're all doing the same things, then it might take a little bit longer for you to pick up, because there are other people that they can go to with similar items, or maybe cheaper prices or more experience, stuff like that. So that's why I say, like, try and be unique, try and do something that people don't do in your area. I am pretty much I think I'm like one of the only people, this might be wrong, but I think I'm one of the only people in my area that does brownies, because I see posts from other bakers in my area. I don't really follow anyone, but I do see posts from them, and there's never any brownies, but then I do a lot of brownies, so I think I kind of fill that gap in the market. So if you can fill a gap, then try to, because once people start coming to you for something, then they probably won't move to someone else. She's going to make it into a video. Yeah, so I leave all the lives up on my channel so that you can go back and watch them if you want to. So if you do miss it, don't worry. Are you allowed to share recipes? You can share what you want as a business, but obviously it would be different for someone else. But I share a lot on YouTube, like my packaging, everything. So if I was to then share my recipes as well, I'd basically be giving away my whole business plan. Whereas for someone else that doesn't share anything about their packaging, nothing like that, they might share a recipe, but their business is still very individual. Whereas a lot of people can go out and buy the stuff that I buy and recreate the things that I do. So that's why I have to keep my recipes to myself, because otherwise I would be giving away my business plan. I am planning to do a cake guide, which will be for 4-inch cakes, but it is universal. I mentioned this in another video, but you'll be able to times the recipe by 1.5 for 6-inch and by 2 for 8-inch cakes, and that will be something that you buy, and that will be one recipe. So obviously I'm not giving away all my recipes, but it will be one cake recipe, and then it will give you tips on how to decorate, the process, fridge time, baking time, all of that, decorating tips, stacking, everything. So yeah, I'm planning to do a cake guide which you can buy, and it will be like a little tutorial in a PDF pack, and then you just download it from my website or Etsy, and then yeah, you can follow it. So that's what I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll be starting to write that up and then have like a idea of when I'm going to finish it. Thanks a lot for your guidance. Sorry if I asked a lot of questions. No, it's fine. Like, I don't mind if people ask questions. I want you to. Yeah, I'm always happy to answer questions. What country would you like to go to after COVID? Is my phone... There we go. Just checking that the battery's fine. What country would you like to go after COVID is away? I'm from Ireland. I really want to go to Australia, but obviously that is very far away, so I don't want to go until I know that I can actually get back. But I really want to go in like November, December time, because that is their summer and that's our winter, so it's like the best time to go. But I want to go at the end of November so I don't miss Christmas, because one, I wouldn't want to miss Christmas, but I don't want to miss the 2 weeks leading up to it, because that's when you get a lot of orders. But yeah, Australia, and then I want to go back to America because I've been to America before. I went to Los Angeles and it was amazing, so I want to go back to America and do like a round trip and do some traveling there, which will probably be for like 2 weeks at a time. I'll just have to do like multiple ones, but again, that will be once COVID is a little bit further along. How do you deal with buttercream melting on hot days? Unfortunately, you can't really do anything about it. The stiffer you make it, the less likely it is to melt. So I would say that on a hot day you want to add a bit more icing sugar than you would normally, because then that will stiffen up the buttercream, and also you can keep it in the fridge. I would say that cakes need to be in the fridge generally, but that will help it not melt. What's your favourite dessert to make? In terms of just normal desserts, I really like Eat a Mess, and I like eating it as well, but I don't make it for like customers or anything. That's just like a personal thing that I like making. But I also like brownies because they're quick and easy. They're easy to decorate, they're easy to make, and they taste really good. What age do you think you should start getting into baking? You can do it at any age. I mean, I had someone comment the other day saying that they were 54 and I had inspired them to start their business, and it's like, that just shows that you can literally start at any time. It literally doesn't matter. The sooner you start the better, but that literally is universal. You know, you could be in your 40s and the sooner you start, the more kind of work you're going to put into it and the further it will be along in the years to come. But yeah, it really doesn't matter when you start it. I would just say whenever you want. If you want to start it now, then start it now. How many layers of cake are in your cakes? Typically it's 4 for all of my big cakes, because they're 2-inch layers, and then they have about 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch of filling in between each layer. So then that makes them like 7-8 inches tall. But in my 4-inch cakes, because I don't like them to wobble and I like to have a bit more control on them, I do 5 layers of, I think it's 1 inch or 1.5, because that is more like stable for me personally, but all of my others are always 4. What's your favourite cake flavour and when did you start baking? My favourite cake flavour is white chocolate and raspberry, which is white chocolate, buttercream, raspberry jam, raspberry flakes in between, and it's a standard like kind of like unflavoured sponge. You can either do vanilla, or if you don't like vanilla then you can do like a Victoria sponge. It really just depends, but the main flavour is in the buttercream. And I started baking, I probably did it like a couple of years ago. When I worked at my old job at the council, they used to have like Macmillan days, so I would do cakes for that, and that was always vegan cakes because I was vegan and now I'm just vegetarian. But I hadn't actually started avidly baking, like decorating and all of that, until literally a month before I started the business last year, which was May last year, and then I started the business in June. Do you have any tips for how to organise baking stuff when you don't have very much space? Lots of kind of like floating containers. So I have, they've actually fallen off the fridge, but I have these suction containers which you can suction to like here, which are really good. And I also have them suction to the tiles in front of me. I wouldn't want to take them off because I wouldn't get them back on. But they're just little pots. They're like this. They're similar to this, but a bit wider, and they just suction to the wall. You can get them from like the range and stuff, but it's like floating storage, so it doesn't need any drawers or anything, and you can put sprinkles in there. I've got like piping bags and things in there, so that's good. But if you check out my kitchen tour, my updated one, then you can see how I store everything. I do have drawers behind me, which are already full. And then I have a worktop here, and all of the cupboards underneath it are mine, so they've all got bacon stuff in them. One of them has personal stuff in it, like all my normal day-to-day food, but the rest of it is all bacon stuff. I've started a sweet treat business. Any ideas on how to get more orders? Promote yourself a lot. I get a lot of orders because, or not a lot of orders, but I feel like I get more orders because I put myself out there a lot. I'm always on stories, I'm always posting. I post probably 2 times a day at least on normal photos, and then I post a reel. I post a reel on Instagram, and then I post a TikTok. I post stories all day on my Instagram, and then I'm also posting on YouTube, which is a good promotion for me. So yeah, I mean, I do a lot of self-promoting, so I would say make sure you're putting yourself out there. Don't expect the customers to come to you if you're not advertising, especially at the moment because everyone is online. And like I say, always try and be unique, whether it is your personality or whether it's your orders. Like, I think a lot of people like me for me as well as the fact that they like my bakes, so that might be why they necessarily choose me over someone else, just because like with YouTube and stuff they feel like they know me a bit more. But you know, if you're not necessarily like a personable person in terms of like your personality, then just try and make your bakes speak for themselves. Even if you're not great at social media, all of that, just make sure that like your photos are well taken, because then they will speak for themselves. You won't need to necessarily explain them. But yeah, it is definitely difficult because it is so saturated, especially at the moment because loads of people are starting businesses. Do you do whipped cream as well, or maybe inside? I never use whipped cream. You do have to store cream differently because cream goes off and spoils quicker. So cream can only be out of the fridge for, I think it's 4 hours. And that is the same with like fresh fruit. So like if you put strawberries on top, stuff like that. So that's why I don't use it, because if the customer doesn't know that, or like they just don't listen and they leave the cake out of the fridge, then it's going to spoil. That's why I also don't put milk in my buttercream, because if you put milk in your buttercream it can't stay at room temperature, whereas butter can. So yeah, I don't use any cream, and when you have your inspection they'll ask you if you use cream, because there are obviously different guidelines for that. How much buttercream do I need for a 6-inch 4-layer? Honestly, it's very hit and miss. It really depends what you're doing. Obviously, I'm doing a ombre cake today, which uses more buttercream because you're using 2 different colours. and you need different ratios of those colours, and you will never be able to get the exact amount. So yeah, I would say that it is hit and miss. I do a batch, so I have a recipe. Obviously you can find so many recipes online, but you have your recipe and you need to work out how much that recipe does, and then what you do is you either double it or half it depending on what size cake you're doing. I know that my batch does a 4-inch cake crumb coat, no, not a 4-inch, a 6-inch, so then it means that you can say, right, I know that this cake does this batch does a 6-inch, so I need to double it if I'm doing an 8-inch, etc. What do you write down when you get an order, like names, etc.? Let me show you. So these are both family orders, so I can show you. One's for my sister and then one's for my mum. So this is what it looks like. This is my order book. So my mum's ordered something for Easter, and my sister's ordered something for a leaving do, like a, not really a leaving do because like the woman is leaving, but there's like a couple of people going into work, all socially distanced and all of that. But yeah, there's like 6 people going in, so she wanted a few like cupcakes and things. But so the way it looks is it's got the name, you've got the address. Obviously I'll turn it over because it will be clearer if it's not got any writing on it. Date, address and contact. Then you've got cake type, flavour, size, toppings, collection and the date, the amount, and this is just like a notes bit. And then you've got message here, and then you've got 2 per page, and that's literally my order book. So I bought this off Etsy, so you can find them on Etsy. They're really easy to find. You just type in cake order book and it'll come up. I think mine was by Rosabelle Stationery. Doesn't say it on here, but I think it was like Rosie Bell or Rose Bell Stationery. But yeah, they're really, really good. And they look nice, and it's just an easy way to store orders. And then that's what I do when they're all done. I just like fold the page. So yeah, that is my order book. It's very easy to use. So that is that. Is the cake in the fridge? Yes, because it's a geode cake, you have to cut a section out of the cake. So it means that once you've done the final coat, it needs to be in the fridge for a reasonable amount of time, because if I'm going to cut a section out of it with a sharp knife, it needs to be solid, because otherwise you'll ruin like the buttercream and stuff. I think it might be okay, so I'm going to wash my hands and then I am going to check how like hard or soft it is, and check whether it's set enough for me to then cut a bit out of it. And then what you do is you fill the gap with buttercream, which you will see in a minute, and then you stick the geode crystals in there, and they stick to the buttercream. So yeah, and then I'm going to be putting like gold leaf and things like that on it. Right, I'm going to wash my hands and then I'll be back. Right, I don't know if Caitlin is here, but because you missed what the cake looked like. So here is the ombre that we did whilst in the first part of the live, for anyone that missed it. So we are now going to be cutting a bit out. So I just need to decide where I want the front. I think this is going to be the front because it's got the most white in it. I'm thinking somewhere here. And I'm going to do one at the top. I think I might do a little one at the bottom. What type of brand do you use for gel food colouring? I use Colour Splash and Pro Gel. And then depending on if I'm doing it for chocolate, I use Colour Mill, which I might be using a little bit of this, but I'm not really sure yet. Right, so we're going to attempt to cut this out. Again, I've never done this before, so we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to get a glove on because I need to pick it out. How many orders you get a week? Honestly, it varies from week to week because especially around payday, it's usually busier. I don't know, like this week I've got 3 cakes. I've had about 5 postal brownies. 2 in-person ones have gone out already, so that's like 7 trays, 3 cakes, and then I've got a load of cupcakes at the weekend, and I've got filled Easter eggs, which I'm using these. These are the Easter eggs I'm using for the filled eggs, so they'll be filled with like brownie and chocolate, so it really does vary, but like this week I've got over 10, so maybe like 15 orders, something like that this week. But yeah, it really does depend. It's so different from week to week, you really can't guarantee it. That's why, like, if you have a lot of bills or a set income that you need to reach, then you're probably going to need to do a bit more of a like contingency plan for running this business, because it can be a bit hit and miss. But yeah, I find that it's mostly similar in terms of wages. You can also get cake order forms from Tracy with Little Cherry Cake Co. She's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So is it like an order book? Because that's the only thing. I do like that is like a book, because then I find that I use it more. I do have order forms which I sell on my website, because I know some people prefer forms, but I just personally prefer having a book to like take with me when I need to. Oh god. Just fell. Need my bowl. This bit is, these are all going in the bin, if you're wondering. These bits that you cut out, you don't use them for anything. Right. How do people make this look so easy? It's actually really difficult to cut this bit out. Love your videos, by the way, from Yasmin. Oh, thank you, that's really sweet. Some icing sugar goes everywhere, so what type of icing sugar would you recommend? I personally find that although Tate and Lyle, you have to sieve it a lot. If you don't mind that, Tate and Lyle I would say is the best in terms of like icing clouds. Sugar Spoon, which is the easiest to mix in terms of not having lumps like Tate and Lyle, is also the one that has crazy icing clouds, and it just goes absolutely everywhere, which is a right pain. So yeah, they both have their pros and cons, but I personally would buy Tate and Lyle when I am somewhere that sells Tate and Lyle, because not everywhere in my area does, only one shop sells it. But yeah, if you can't, then Silver Spoon, but Silver Spoon has crazy icing clouds. How did you find doing GCSEs and how did you do? I'm 16 and I'm panicking about it all. We do have it a lot easier this year, so I'm hoping to set up a part-time cake business while I'm in college. I didn't find GCSEs bad. I enjoyed everything that I chose. I chose German, art, law and history, and I got B's and C's in all of them, which I was happy with, because I was never really like into school, if that makes sense. I was always into like outside of school activities and like just starting work. I didn't really want to do like sixth form or anything. So yeah, I was happy with that, but if you maybe don't enjoy your subjects, then it will take a bit more effort. But yeah, I personally found that they were all right, but I guess it's kind of hard to say because I did my GCSEs almost 7 years ago, which sounds crazy. That makes me sound really old. But yeah, things have probably changed since I did them. How did you learn to price your cakes correctly? I just did lots of research. I researched other sellers and what they charged, and I did kind of like a bit of digging. and found that maybe they had however many years experience. So if I've got 1 year experience, then I can go, right, well, they charge this much and they've got 3 years, so then I can work out how much I need to charge based on that. You want to pick an hourly rate, so you need to decide what you want your hourly rate to be. It can vary a lot, so it really just depends on how much you want to get paid an hour. And then you need to work out your costs, so how much you spend on a cake, your rent, your insurance, yeah, all of the like overheads that you have. I did a video on pricing, so that will give you a more detailed like breakdown, but it is very difficult to price cakes because you want to price them lower because it's going to attract more people, but if you want to be paid a reasonable wage, and I'm just talking like £10 an hour, then you need to price them higher. So yeah, it's always difficult to price cakes. I'm planning on making a cake this weekend with gold luster dust, and I'm not sure what to mix the powder with, as I don't really buy vodka. I don't mix it with anything. When I'm using luster dust, I use it as is, as the powder, and it works really well. It depends what you're doing with it. But if you want like a paint, I would recommend this. So this is the Rainbow Dust Metallic Light Gold paint. Just because you don't have to mix it with anything. It is paint already. I don't know what it is mixed with. It's mixed with water, modified starch, and some emulsifiers. So no like alcohol, basically. So yeah. Because I also don't buy vodka, and I don't even know where to start with mixing vodka and paint together. I would probably end up doing it terribly wrong. I'm going to cut another gap down here, I think. If you add cornstarch to silver spoon, it stops the sugar clouds. Ooh, okay. I'm going to have to try that. Thank you, Hannah. I'm going to try that and see, because honestly, my whole counter is just really like cloudy, where I made icing sugar and it just went everywhere. So yeah, we will see whether it makes a difference, because that would help a lot. You've inspired me to start my own baking business. I have a similar background to you with previous experience in accounting. Oh, hello. Yeah, I love the accounting, but this is way more creative, so I assume that that's probably why you like it more as well, because it is definitely more enjoyable and interesting than the accounting. But the accounting is good to have, because obviously when you're starting your own business, you need to do taxes, you need to be able to log all of your accounts and like have order logs and stuff like that, and be able to record things and be very like organized with the way that you record everything. So I would say that it is very good to have like an accountancy background, because it definitely comes in handy. What's your favorite cake you've ever made? It probably has to be the one that I did recently so far. It has to be the one I did on live, the pink and white drip. I did it in one of my lives recently. I'd probably say that one is my favourite. But that's just today. I mean, every cake I make ends up being my favourite, if I'm honest, so this one will probably be my favourite by tomorrow. So every time I make a new cake, I'm like, this is my new favourite. Right. I just cut out another bit, as you can see in these two areas. I will move you closer in a minute once I've moved all my rubbish out of the way. You can use extracts to mix with dusts. Oh, okay. Again, I will need to try that. Thank you to Kay Miller. Yeah, I need to try that, because I wouldn't want to mix alcohol just because I have no idea where to start. So yeah, I would have to see. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thank you. What butter do you use for your buttercream? Because I'm experimenting in which butter works for buttercream. I just use salted butter, any brand. I'm not really fussy. I think they all taste the same. When it comes to buttercream, I've never noticed a difference. So yeah, I would just say salted butter. That combats the sweetness. If you want it really sweet, then you can use unsalted. but I personally find that if I don't use salted, then it's way too sickly, and like actual family have told me that, because I changed it before I started selling to customers. But yeah, when we were trying to decide on which one to use, family said to go for the salted because it does make it more like manageable to eat, because otherwise it is very, very sickly. What else? You're making me hungry. Oh, tell me about it. I had pizza a little while ago, but I haven't finished it. But this cake is definitely making me hungry. I'm just carving this out. It's surprising how long the carving process takes, because you want to get it right before you start icing it. It was very boring working in accounts, so defo loved the change. I couldn't agree more. I liked it initially, but I just had bad experiences where like the work was too stressful, and like the workload wasn't like reasonable, and I also wasn't being paid enough for the workload, so that's mainly why I decided to leave. If I was paid more, then I probably wouldn't have necessarily minded staying in the role. It wasn't that I kind of like hated it, but I actually didn't mind accounts and I was quite good at it, but yeah, it just, I was sort of overworked and underpaid and I didn't enjoy it. So is it normal to use recipes online after you've practiced them, like to sell? You can do that, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally amend them because I find that an online recipe is never perfect. So I will make things and then I make it my own by changing ingredients and changing like baking times, which then makes it that you're no longer copying the recipe because you have changed it. But yeah, I've never found a recipe where I followed it exactly and it turned out exactly. I always have to change baking times, temperatures, etc. It is a right pain. You can never just find one that is perfect. I'm just scraping the buttercream off the board, if you're wondering, with a sharp knife so that it comes off nice and easy. What's your favourite type to make, e.g. drip, geode, letter cakes? This is the first geode cake I've made, so I couldn't really comment on geode cakes, but drip cakes are definitely my favourite. Especially like loaded drip cakes, because you can put so much on it, and there's a lot of the time, pretty much every drip cake order I've had, the customer has just said, you know, kind of do whatever you want. They give me a colour scheme and they tell me what chocolates they like, and then I can do whatever I want with the design, which is nice because it just gives you a bit of free reign. So that's why I also like them, because I get a lot of like I get to make all the decisions myself, kind of thing. Right, we're filling in these gaps now. That's what I use. I don't use alcohol. All I use is extracts. My favourite is almond extract. The smell in my bakery when I paint is heavenly. I have almond extract, but I haven't used it yet. I bought it from Aldi just because I thought it was interesting to have that flavour, but I haven't used it yet. I don't know when I'm going to use it, but yeah, I haven't yet used it, so we'll see if I use it in the future. You want to layer this on quite thick from what I've seen, so that all of the geo bits will stick to it. How often do you post on a YouTube video? I post 3 times a week. I haven't been able to post over the past week because we've had really bad Wi-Fi, like to the point where I can't even like search on the internet, let alone upload a video, but that's now sorted, so I will be back to posting 3 times a week. I'm also starting a podcast, which I haven't actually mentioned yet, but yeah, the podcast is coming very soon, and that is called Sweet Talk. And yeah, that will be starting very soon, and I'll talk about like cake dilemmas. and I'm planning to do a forum which will be like anonymous, and it means that you can submit like difficult customers, which someone has just mentioned in a comment. You'll be able to actually send in like dilemmas, but it'll all be anonymous, and basically I will answer your dilemmas. So it just means that we can have like an open conversation about customers, and about like, it doesn't even need to be like a sort of I don't know what the word is, but like a gossip about customers. It's not like it's that. It's more so that you can get advice. And then I'm also going to be talking about like specific topics on the podcast. So like if someone asked me to talk about starting a business and like how I did it or something like that, then I can talk about it on the podcast, and they'll also be between an hour and a half long. So that means I can talk for longer than I can on YouTube. So that is coming very soon. What else? I'm diabetic, but I would still eat it. Naughty me. Oh, bless you. I feel for you, because I do get the odd person requesting whether I do diabetic, but I don't currently, because I don't know enough about it, and I wouldn't want to like make someone ill. But yeah, I do feel bad for you, because I could not go without the cake. But I mean, I don't actually eat that much cake considering I bake all day. What's your favourite piping tip? It will have to be the 8B, which is this one. Absolutely love it, which is the star nozzle. Have you ever had a bad customer experience, such as them being rude or anything? I haven't, luckily, but it probably will happen at some point. Touch wood, it doesn't, but yeah, I think it is definitely difficult to handle. You just have to try and be like professional, and obviously stick up for yourself, because no one should be rude to you for no reason, whether that is a customer or just, you know, anyone. So I would say, you know, be professional about it, but if you need to kind of like explain a situation, if something's gone wrong with an order or something like that, then just kind of stand your ground and explain the situation, but try and just be as professional as possible, so that they can't come back and say that you were unprofessional and rude. But yeah, it's very difficult when you get rude customers, because you don't want to be rude, because you don't want to have that have a bad effect on your business. But yeah. Why are you deleting all your messages after you've asked them? I'm not quite sure why that's happening. Maybe it's because they've been answered. I'm not really sure. Right, so we've almost filled in these two little gaps. This one is very difficult at the bottom here, because it's at a weird angle. I'm trying to get into this corner, if you're wondering. There we go. I think that's as good as that corner is going to get. Right, I'm going to use a knife to try and just smooth that out a bit better. Right, so that is now I ordered the Finch Bakery medium stripe scraper, and I'm so excited for it to arrive so I can get on that hype. I love the medium. I've got their bubble one here, I've got the medium, and I've also got their scallop, which is like the other way around, where it comes out that way, and it creates like indents rather than bubbles. But I absolutely love all of their scrapers. They are so good. Right, so we have our little cutouts. Just lift it up for you. So as you can see, there's one cut out here and one cut out down the bottom there. So we are basically just going to be filling these with crystals. So I need to break the crystals because obviously some of them are a little bit big. So I have my bowl here, and we're going to go in with white first, which is going to be going in the center of the kind of like indent, and then we will move out to the outside. I think I've got way too many crystals. Like, I actually have quite a lot, so I'll probably be able to use them on the top as well. And I think they're sugar crystals, so they're kind of made out of some kind of sugar mix. Where'd you get the geode crystal? I got this from Etsy. The woman is called Baker's Dream by Aisha, and that's the logo. So yeah, she was really, really good. She sent them out next day, and she knew that I needed them for this cake, so she sent it out tracked free of charge, which was really nice of her because she definitely didn't have to do that. So yeah, right, I'm going to try and break these. So, I mean, that is not, that's not breaking. I'm going to try and cut them. Are you crushing them or leaving them bigger? I'm trying to crush them with a knife. It's proving very difficult. They are rock hard, so I'm not quite sure how I'm meant to crush them. If anyone knows how I'm meant to crush these crystals, let me know. It's not working very well, if I'm honest. I might just try and pick out the smallest ones from the bag. Do I have any tweezers in here? I don't think I do, so I'm going to swap hands with the glove. Right, what is this going to look like? I really need, I have a little hammer you could try. That's my mum. Maybe try on a cutting board and hitting them with a rolling pin. I think I'm going to put them in I'm going to put them back in their bag that they came in, which is this. And then I'm going to hit it with a rolling pin because I have that in front of me. And then if not, I will try my mum's hammer if that fails. So, try not to drop everything. So, excuse the noise, I'm sorry. Yes, they are edible. They're called edible crystals, and you type it in on Etsy and then loads of different ones will come up. Oh, it works. This works really well, guys. Use a rolling pin. Okay, one bag kind of semi-done. I don't want to break all of them. It's only 11:15 and I'm smashing crystals on the worktop. Right, I've done a little bit. I didn't want to do too much because and I've made a hole in the bag, which is great. Yeah, I didn't want to do too much just in case I want some of them bigger if I use them on the top of the cake. I need some tweezers. I know that much. I'm not quite sure where mine are. I'm just opening the blue bag. They're so fiddly, these little bags. You really want to try and make a geode cake. Yeah, they look really cool. It's my first one, but yeah, they look very cool. I'm just going to try and find some tweezers. I have some little pots here, so if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm looking in my little pots for some tweezers, and I don't think I'm having any luck. Right, we don't have any tweezers. So I am just going to, I think, try and use spoons. See how we go. Would you recommend a KitchenAid? I really like a pasta one because they are so pretty, but they're crazy expensive. They definitely are. So I have a KitchenAid, so I would obviously say that I would recommend a KitchenAid just because I do love mine. But obviously it depends. If you have the money, then I would say do it, but if you don't, then there's definitely more affordable options, which are things like the Kenwood, which I think the Kenwood Chef is one of the best ones that is like more affordable. But yeah, it really does depend how much money you have available. You can get them on finance. That is also another option. I think it's like, I don't know how much it is a month, but it's like crazy cheap. But yeah, I love my KitchenAid. I did a video on it, so I'd recommend going and watching that, because that is like a full review of like testing out the different, what do you call it? Like the paddles and the whisk and stuff on it. So that's probably a more in-depth answer, but yeah, they're definitely good. Oh, my mum's found some tweezers. Thank you. Right, so I've got some little pincher like craft tweezers, which is good because I need to get right in the gap here. So I'm going to take some of the bigger ones and put them in there. Oh yeah, back to the KitchenAid, I was meant to say, I have the milkshake one, so if you type in milkshake mixer, it's like the grey coloured one. That's the one I have. Oh no. Oh, okay. Right. Oh no. The tweezers are very, very fiddly, but that's just this job in general. You kind of just have to be very gentle. I think I was meant to do it the other way around. I think you do the lighter in the middle, the lighter on the outside and the darker in the middle, but we've done it now, so I'm going to do it this way. I don't think there's any like right or wrong. I just prefer when I see people do it the other way around, but yeah, I've put them in now, so we are sticking with it. Can't get this one to go in there. Right, and then I'm going to start on the dark ones. Right, so we've got the white in there. You can't obviously see it that well because it's it's transparent, but you will be able to see it once I add the darker blue in there. And then we're going to need some more white for down here. I really want to try making a half and half cake, but they look like they need lots of precision. Can't decide if I should do half milk, half white chocolate, or half white chocolate and half pink. I think the half white chocolate and half pink would be cool. I would love to make one of those half and half cakes. I think they're really cool, and I think it's surprising. I think you might be able to like, you might surprise yourself doing it, and you might actually be able to do it. Do you use a squeezy bottle when doing drips, or a spoon? I use a spoon. I used to use a squeezy bottle, but I recently changed to using a spoon, and I would never go back. I love it so much. I prefer the effect that the spoon gives. Oh, we lost a crystal. Lost another one. On the side. Oh no. These are very, very fiddly. I think you can see it a little bit better now. I'm just going to move there you go, bit more light, there you go, a little bit brighter for you. What's the difference between a squeezy bottle and a spoon on the effect? A spoon is more like irregular drips, which I think looks nicer personally, whereas a bottle is very uniform. Yeah, and a bottle's also really hard to clean, so yeah, it's just easier, I think, to use a spoon because it's much easier to clean afterwards, and it gives a really pretty effect as well. What's your least favourite cake flavour? Probably lemon, just because it's not even that it's that difficult to make, it's just that the lemon flavouring has to be right. Like, obviously you don't want it to be too lemony, but sometimes it can literally taste like nothing if there's just not enough like juice and zest in it. So it's just more like faffy to get right, because it can be hit and miss sometimes. It really just depends how like sweet the lemons are, like sweet or sour the lemons are, which you can't like guarantee each time. I think bottles can also come out quite thick. Yeah, they can. If your mixture thickens up in the bottle, then there's kind of no saving it. Whereas if you have a bowl of chocolate or whatever recipe you use for your drip, then if it starts to thicken up, you can just heat it again, whereas you can't heat something that's in a bottle. Do you have any idea why my cupcakes sink in the middle? It's either over mixing, too hard, the butter is too hard, like too cold, or they are underbaked. So those are like the three main things that relate to cupcakes being like sinking. Those are like the common things that people say. Right, so that one is pretty much done. So I'm going to move down to this one here. So I'll move you a little bit further back so you can see. We lost another one. I couldn't pick it up and put it on the side. I've lost two massive gems so far on this cake. Who is your biggest cake inspiration? Mine would probably be between you, Isabelita Bakes, Leah Bakes, and of course Finch Bakery. Oh, that's really sweet that you compare me to those. I love Isabelita Bakes. Beautiful Bakes is really good. They're like a smaller one. Bakerholics is like my #1. She is amazing. I love all of her stuff. And she's 19 and she's just got a shop. Like, I plug her so much, but she is like amazing and she's doing so well for her age. So yeah, I absolutely love her, and all of her cakes are amazing as well. So probably Bakerholics is like my biggest inspiration, and then like Chanel's Cakery is also really good. She does cakes, but she does more so things like brownies and cookies and like postal boxes. And then also George's Bakery is another really good one to follow. He is very big on like postals and markets. I've watched your videos about starting your business today as I want to start my own. I've learnt so much, thank you. I'm so glad that they're helpful. Yeah, that's literally why I make them, because so many people find them helpful. Have you ever used a cake leveler? No, I literally just use a bread knife because I find that using something with a severed edge is easier like to cut with than using just like a normal knife. Oh yeah, Bakerholics is just amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love her. She's great. You should own it. You've inspired me to do cakes as well as a couple of my friends. Oh my god, that's so cool that I also inspired your friends as well. That's really cool. Well, thank you, because I'm glad that people find these videos useful and that people learn from them, and yeah, that's literally why I make them, because I want to help people. So I'm hoping that this little one, no, that's way too big. Sorry, don't mind me, I'm trying to get to all the tiny little bits in the bottom of the packet. Right. I need like some tiny little bits to fill a few gaps. Do you prefer pastel or neon colours on cakes? I love both, but I'd choose pastel. I definitely think pastel. Like, I would even say that this cake is pastel. Like, even though the blues are dark, I just think that the like the, not necessarily pastel, but just the not bold in your face colours are nice. Right, we're gonna add the gold leaf and also a bit of paint just to see what it looks like, because I want to start adding bits like that to it so that I can kind of see where I'm at, and then if I need more like geode, then I can obviously add it as and when. Right, so the gold leaf comes in little things like this. Right, glove off. Wipe my hands. Right, So I use a paintbrush for gold leaf, and I'm going to add a little bit of paint first as like a base, and then I will go in with the gold leaf. I need to put this in something. Here we go. Do you prefer different piping techniques or the same on a cupcake? I love when you have all the different styles on cupcakes, but it just takes even longer to do. You've got to make different colours and have different like piping tips ready. I'm going to move you a little bit closer. Right, so the gold paint is done. As you can see, the gold paint is on there. What is your favourite thing to decorate with, like chocolates and foods? Definitely chocolates, and I would say I love like lint balls, obviously sprinkles. I quite like doing drip cakes because it means that you use different chocolates to kind of like build height, so you have some bits that are higher than others in order to like balance out the cake, so that you can use like chocolate fingers, anything like that. So yeah, I probably would say chocolates and on drip cakes. Is this for a customer? Yes, it is. They're collecting tomorrow. But I've been busy with like brownies and things today, so that's why I'm doing a late one. what kind of sponge recipe do you use so the cake is strong enough? I just use a normal sponge recipe. You only need to use like a Madeira if you're doing fondant, but that's so that it doesn't sink at the weight of the fondant, but I don't think you need to worry about that if you're just doing buttercream. I never have anyway. How do you package cakes for collection? I use the box, and then I use the lid of the box and I staple it to the back of the cake box, like the base of it, and then I cover it in cling film once the cake's in there. I will show you once this goes in the fridge, and then I can show you how I do it. That looks really cool so far. Do you ever at night think about cake ideas, or just to do with cakes? I actually have a notepad by my bed, because pretty much every night I will have some kind of idea and then I'll need to get up and write it down. So yeah, I always think about ideas. When I'm in bed I'm terrible, because like when you go to bed, that's the only time when your like mind is relaxing, so then you either think about stuff a lot or you go to bed, and in my case I end up thinking about stuff a lot because I'm not thinking about anything else. So yes, I end up doing lots of thinking. Every winter, do you suggest that customers have the aircon on when even in winter? Yeah, so I always say store in the fridge, because you don't know how hot someone's house is, especially in winter. People, I mean, I have friends that have their houses at 25 degrees. My house is not at 25 degrees, but if you have a house that warm, then you're gonna bring the cake to room temperature quite quickly. So I always say in the fridge, because I personally think that cake is nicer when it is cooled from being cold in the fridge for an hour, and then it's chilled but it's not really cold, because otherwise I just think that it's like room temperature and warm, which isn't very nice with the buttercream, I personally don't find. So yeah, I always say keep in the fridge. And the same goes with the car, because even in winter people are more likely to have the heating on in their car, and then they're more likely to melt the cake. So it works both ways. Even in winter they need to have some kind of like aircon or something on, because otherwise it's likely that they will end up melting the cake. I've never had it happen, but yeah, I try to avoid it at all costs. So I'm just going to put some bits of gold leaf randomly on the sides. Right, so I'm going to shove this in the fridge quickly whilst we get the icing ready, because I need to put it in a piping bag. So I'm just going to shove this in the fridge for like a little set for like 5 minutes. Right, do you temper your chocolate when you use chocolate moulds? I would say that I half temper it. I know that doesn't really make sense, but they do shine and they do crack, which is what they're meant to do at tempering. But I personally don't follow a specific tempering like routine. I just microwave them for 20 seconds at a time until the chocolate is melted. And because you're doing it for such short bursts, it doesn't go out of the tempering state. But yeah, I don't do any like crazy tempering method just because I don't know how. So yeah, mine I consider to be tempered because they don't melt at room temperature, they don't sweat in the fridge, and they do snap, which is like meant to be the telltale sign. Chocolate will bend if it's not tempered, like when it comes to room temperature and gets warm, it will bend rather than like snapping. So yeah, I think I do temper, but I'm not sure, so I wouldn't say that I do, but I just use the microwave method and that seems to work, and they come out shiny. So what time would you start baking during the day? It depends how busy you are. Today I started at 9 AM and I'm still here at midnight. It really does depend. Obviously I've had like breaks throughout the day, but it does depend how busy you are, what you're making. Like cakes, they need a lot of fridge time. Like now it's in the fridge for another 15-20 minutes, when if it was earlier in the day I'd be doing other things, but I don't have anything else to do, so I'm just chatting to you guys. So yeah, it does really depend what you're making. Like brownies, obviously you put them in the oven and then you can go and do things for 25 minutes whilst they're in there, and the same goes for cakes. So it really does just like depend what you're making, how busy you are. I always find that I have more downtime and I waste more time if I've got less orders. If I've got more orders, then I'm constantly busy. It's not that I wouldn't get it done in time, but I would just take even longer to do it, just because I know that I've got hours to spare. Do you use any specific temperature in the microwave when you melt your chocolate? No, my microwave is just a 700 watt, I think, microwave, and I just melt it for 20 seconds at a time. I don't believe that it goes to any specific temperature. I don't have a thermometer in there, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I think the tempering temperature is 31 degrees, so as long as it doesn't go over 31 degrees, then it stays in temper, because all chocolate off the like supermarket shelf will already be tempered, because that's how it will not melt when it's in the supermarket. So they're already in like a state of temper, you just need to make sure you don't break them out of that. So yeah, I'm just going to do a little bit of like tidy up whilst people are still asking questions. And then when the cake comes out, we'll do the piping on the top. Your best buy ever baking related? Let me have a little think. Probably off the top of my head, this non-slip mat, because I went through months. Like I only bought this about 2 months ago, bearing in mind I've been going for like almost like 10 months, and I only bought this recently, and it basically means that the cake doesn't slide everywhere, so it is so handy. And it comes on a roll, and I bought it off Amazon and it was like £6. It was the best money I'd ever spent. And it means that the cake doesn't move at all, because like as you can see, it doesn't move. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate working with fondant when it's hot outside? I hate fondant on a normal day, so so when it's hot it's even worse, because the thing is with fondant is you need to use your hands. Like, you can't use gloves because it creases the fondant and like imprints it, so you kind of need to use your hands, but also when it's hot you don't want to use your hands because it's just going to be like clammy. So yeah, it's very difficult. I don't like using fondant, really. I only use it for cupcake toppers. Tesco's white chocolate spread is always sold out. What do you use an alternative? White chocolate spread from Tesco's has been discontinued. It's been discontinued from Asda and also Sainsbury's, I think. I use white chocolate and oil, so you use a little dash of oil, and then it makes it watery enough to do a drip, and then I use a spoon, and that's what I use for white chocolate drips, and then you can colour that as well. And I actually prefer it to chocolate spread. I prefer the chocolate and oil because it doesn't go rock hard, but it hardens to the point where, like, if you were to touch it you wouldn't smudge it, because that's the only thing with chocolate spread, it does smudge. So yeah, I personally prefer using that. I'm just going to get my piping bags. Don't know what nozzle I can fit in here. I don't know if this is the right one. I cut them all to different sizes. Yep, that's right. How do you change your recipes to be for a 6 and 8 inch opposed to an 8 inch? I slash it. I struggle with knowing the amount of eggs. I literally just like half the recipe or double it. So if there's 2 eggs, then I do 4 eggs, or 1 egg, vice versa. If there's like an odd number of eggs, so like if it's 3 and I want to half it and then it's 1.5, I just put more eggs in, because it's better for it to be runny than for it to be really like too thick of a like cake recipe. So yeah, that's literally all I do. Which brand do you prefer for colouring chocolate? Colour Mill is the best for colouring chocolate because it is oil based, not water based, and water makes chocolate curdle. You can get away with Colour Splash only if it is a little bit. If you put too much of the colouring in, it will just make your chocolate go rock hard and then you can't use it. So yeah, I would say Colour Mill if you have the money to spend on it. If you don't have the money, then I would do Colour Splash, but not for vibrant colours or anything that needs to be dark. If you're trying to get like a black drip, then I wouldn't use Colour Splash because you'd need too much and then you wouldn't be able to put enough colouring in it. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough piping, so I might have to mix it with some white. Have you ever had to deal with a damaged cake? Some cakes of mine have been slightly damaged after collection, drip being smudged despite giving the appropriate instructions. I have never, unfortunately, luckily, but I would just say always take photos of your labels. That's what I do. So like I have strict instructions on how to store it, how to drive it home, etc. and then I always watch. So like if someone doesn't put it in the footwell, I make note of it, so that if they were to come back to me, I could just say, well, I saw that you didn't put it in the footwell, so you haven't like got a leg to stand on in terms of like you didn't follow my rules. But it is difficult to know whether it is their fault. I would say, if you know, like, this is again why I leave my cakes in the fridge. Like, I'm going to leave mine in the fridge overnight and she's not collecting it until tomorrow morning, because then I know that the cake is like rock solid, and if it falls over or something, then I know that it's due to the way that they carried it, not due to the actual way that the cake was made. But yeah, it is very difficult. I would say it depends how bad the situation is, but unless it's like an undercooked cake, I would say that there's like no refund or anything like that, just like an apology. But if it's, my kind of rule is that once it's left me, I'm no longer responsible. So yeah, that's kind of like my rule for cake. So if they then come back, I'll say, well, unfortunately, when it left me, it was perfectly fine, so it must have been the way that it was like transported home. Oh, that's already coming out. Right, get the cake back out. I don't know if this is enough icing sugar. Right, I think I'm only gonna Right, so that is the piping all done. We're going to put the toppings on and then the cake is finished. I say the same thing with products I sell, cookies, to get the best out of the shelf life, keep fresh, and say to keep them in the fridge, especially in this heat. Yes, I completely agree. Like fridge time, putting a distinct sell by on them. But yeah, I take a photo, like I'll have this cake in the box, and then I'll have my label up here, and I'll take a photo of the whole thing, so that if I was to kind of argue my case, I could say, look, there is your cake in that photo, and there is my label saying that you should have put it on in the footwell, it needed to be in the fridge. And there's usually telltale signs that you can tell if someone hasn't kept it in the fridge, because it's usually very obvious. There'll be a certain way that the cake like falls, so if your cake seeps and there's like bulges, then that's usually where it's got warm and then the weight of the cake has pushed it down. But yeah, there's definitely telltale signs on the different things that have gone wrong with it. If it's leaning, then you can tell that it's either been on someone's lap or it's been just on the seat, and that's how it was like taken home. So yeah, there's like different ways that you can tell what went wrong with it. Yeah. How do you go about pricing for friends and family? Sorry, I missed one. Did you have a lower price / half price in the beginning when you were practicing? I just did a slightly discounted price. I still charged my hourly rate, but I was charging lesser hourly rate, so maybe like £8 an hour. So maybe like for a cake like this, it would have been like £20, but this cake is about £40 now, and it's a 4-inch cake. And then my drip cakes are, you know, sometimes up to £75. So but my drip cakes used to be like 35 for an 8-inch cake, which is really low. But yeah, I've definitely like upped prices since then, and I think that was too low. It really depends on your skill. Personally, not to sound, you know, like big-headed or anything like that, but I felt like I was quite good considering I just started. I feel like I kind of skipped the practicing stage. A lot of people like thought that I'd been going a while because of like the finish of the cakes, but I hadn't. So yeah, it just depends on your finish, the quality of your bakes, and then if they're good, then obviously, like if the quality is good, then you can charge more because you're putting out a good product. So I don't see why whether you've been going a month or a year, if you're putting out a good product, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to charge more. When it comes to pricing for family and friends, it's very difficult because if you sign yourself up to cater for free, then you are giving people the option to get that every single time. And although I would happily do things for free, I give quite a heavy discount on a lot of my things for family. The issue is if you're turning down a paid order from someone else, like if someone asks you to do a cake and you're busy doing a cake for your family and you can't take on the order, you're going to turn down, say, £50 for a cake to be paid nothing sometimes. I mean, some people don't pay anything for family cakes, or a very low wage, and it's like, obviously if this is your only income like it is for me, then unfortunately you have to charge family and friends, because otherwise you could be turning down paid orders for something that isn't paid. But I would say just give a discount. Like I say to all my family, like I give between 10 and 15% off, and I do throw in freebies and like not quite calculate things. So like if they're getting a cake, I might say for something like this, which is £40, and then any extras like cake toppers and stuff is more, I would say, oh, it's 30, it's fine. And I would like deliver it to them, and I would add a topper on it, all free of charge. And then there's things like drip cakes where again they're like £60, and I would say, right, it's 50, I'll add a topper, I'll deliver it. I'll add, you know, things like macaroons and like chocolate covered strawberries, which are usually extras, but I would just add them on included in the price. So there's things like that which you can do, which I think they would appreciate. So yeah, I would say still charge for it, because obviously it is your time and it is a skill. They couldn't make the cake themselves, but at the same time you don't want to necessarily overcharge. So yeah, I would just say give a discount of some form so that they would appreciate that you're giving them some kind of discount because they are family. But like I say, if you go like full steam ahead giving out free cakes to all of your friends and family, it's different when you're practicing, but when you're like getting good and you give out free cakes, then I have had messages from some people where they say, you know, my family don't want to pay me at all. Whereas I feel like my family want to pay me because they know that I'm good at it, so they want to pay me for my hours of work. But some people don't. And obviously if you start giving stuff away for free, then they might get used to it. But yeah, I get a lot of messages from people saying that like their family don't want to pay now. So I would say try and start off with like getting a tip at least, or like money for ingredients, and then at least you're covering your expenses and you're not losing any money. I feel like I spent hours making a family member / friend a cake and end up being less than minimum wage, and it's almost expected. It's just hard. I completely agree. A lot of the time it is lower than minimum wage, and it's a lot of work, especially obviously with customers. You want them to be happy with it, but I feel like sometimes with family cakes, not so much now, but when I was first starting out, I wanted to make sure that because it was my family, I wanted to make sure that they loved the cake and that they didn't feel like they were wasting their money. So there is a little bit of pressure there as well. So yeah, I would say charge at least for your ingredient costs and like a rough hourly rate. But if you don't want to charge any more than that, then at least you've covered your costs and you haven't lost any money buying all the ingredients. Because yeah, that's the main thing. You don't want to put yourself out of pocket, because again, if you put yourself out of pocket, then you're losing money, and obviously if you don't make enough money, then the business can't run. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're making enough money so that you're not then out of pocket, because that is the worst thing, when you're out of pocket and then you can't run your business anymore because you're losing too much money. So yeah, I would say be reasonable about it. But most family, you know, like if you start it from the beginning, and they kind of know that you're charging from the beginning, then I think they're happy to pay it. I'm just trying to stick these Ferrero Rochers on. So we've got 3 on the top because it's a 4-inch, so it's quite small, so you can't fit too much on. And then I like to put 1 on the board just so that it feels like there's a bit more on there. And then she wanted minstrels. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few of the gems in the top, a few of the crystals. So we have Galaxy Minstrels. So this actually works very well because I feel like when she gave me the Ferrero Rochers and the minstrels, because they're brown and this is a blue cake, I wasn't sure whether the colour scheme would go, but it actually goes very, very well, so that's very good. Okay, I don't actually think I need any more. I'm going to take a few of these crystals. The most awkward ones are the distant family members who don't send you a birthday message but expect a half-price personalised, the most cake you've ever seen. Oh my god, I know. I've never had that, luckily, but I completely know what you mean, like those distant relatives that maybe don't understand how much time and effort you put into a cake. I think a lot of people don't understand how much time and effort goes into it. That's why a lot of people question pricing, like customers. But I do think that once they see how much time and effort goes into it, not necessarily a customer, but like family, a lot of the time, because we're quite a big family, obviously before COVID, like when we were actually allowed people round, before lockdown, sorry, when we weren't in lockdown, if like family would come over and I was making a cake, they might have a little look and they'd be like, oh wow, like you've been doing this for hours. And I'm like, I know, that's because it takes hours. So I feel like once family see how long it takes you, then they definitely appreciate it a lot more. But yeah. Put you down there. I want a smaller one. Right, so that is done. I'm going to spray a little bit of this kind of like luster dust just to give it a bit of sparkle. Right, it's finished, guys. I will just show you how to box up the cake, just in case anyone is curious, because I know someone mentioned it, I'm not sure if they're still here. But this is the cake, and there will be a topper on it, I just need to make it in the morning. But yeah, it's got the geode crystals in there and down there. Right, so that's going in the fridge now. One minute, I'll be right back. Right, so that is all finished. I've got 2 spare minstrels that I've already taken out of the packet, so I don't want to obviously put them back in, so I'm going to eat those. Last couple of questions. Absolutely agree. When I first started, a lot of my friends would almost turn their nose up at me starting a business selling just cookies, but now they see how much hard work goes into running a business. But trying to support yourself, they seem to be happy to pay now. Well, that's good that they're happy to pay now. But yeah, it's very difficult because people kind of assume that there's not much in it and that they can make it themselves, and then sometimes when they do make it themselves, they realise actually it's half as good, but it's still not as good. So yeah, then they realise it's worth the money. Forgot to say, I love my chocolate moulds that I bought from you. They're so cute and I just want to use them on every order. That's so sweet. Thank you, Olivia. I'm glad that you love your moulds. For anyone that's wondering, because anyone that's kind of new here, I sell moulds. I also sell spreadsheet packs. and the merch is being made tomorrow. I've got all the designs sorted, so you will see sneak peeks of that on my Instagram. So if you want to see any sneak peeks, then go and follow my Instagram. It's at sweetthingsbyamy. And I'll be putting a few like design promos on there, and then I'm printing them tomorrow because I've got a bit of free time. And then we are taking photos this week, hopefully, and then they'll be on the website, fingers crossed, this weekend, early next week latest, hopefully. But yeah, so merch will be out very, very soon. It's more of kind of like, some of it is more kind of fashionable rather than just merch. There's going to be like 4 or 5 different designs on hoodies and t-shirts. So it means that you can buy something that has my logo and my business name on the back, and it will be in like, it's in a bubble font on the back. And then there are some which have like no logo and no Sweet Things by Amy, just in case you don't want my branding on it. So yeah, there's one which is chocolate lover, and then I've illustrated a load of like brownies and cakes and cupcakes, and I've drawn them myself, and they're going on the back. And then there's also a Cake My Day, which is a pink version. The chocolate lover is brown on a white t-shirt, and the Cake My Day is a pink version, so there's going to be like pink cake designs on the back. And then there's another one which is going to be a kind of like scrapbook style, where there's lots of designs like placed everywhere on the hoodie. So yeah, there's like 5 or 6 designs coming out. There's also mugs coming out. So there's hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and I think in the future tea towels, but I haven't started that yet. Are you having more live cake decoration this week? I'm hoping that I can do one this weekend. It might be that it's Easter decorations like cupcakes and brownies rather than a cake, because I'm waiting for someone to get back to me on a last minute cake this weekend. So if they don't end up going for it, then I will be doing Easter stuff, and then if they do, then it will be a cake. So it just depends. I'm also making 2 brownie stacks this week. I think it's 2, or maybe it's 3. I think it might be 3. So they're like where you stack brownies on a cake board and you add like buttercream and chocolates onto it. So I'll be doing those this week. I was going to show you how to do the box, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to eat this chocolate. I'll move my cake board. So make sure your surface is clean, and then you need a cake box. So I have a 7-inch box because I use a 7-inch board, so you always match the board to the box. I use a 7-inch because then that gives me some room around the cake and like to do stuff on the board. And then you've got the base, and then this is the lid. So you want to unfold the base and then start slotting it in. So you put the back up like that, and then the front obviously you don't do up because you need to put the cake in it. And then what you do is you unfold this, and then where these edges are here, you undo it. And then any like little bits like that you just tear off, and then again on this side, and then it will be like so. And then what you do is you staple up here. Oh, have I not got any staples left? I've run out of staples, so I'm going to run and get some staples and I'll be back. But basically you attach the back of this to your box. Like so. So it ends up looking like that, and then what you do is you sellotape cling film on the back here, and then it goes over the cake like so, and then you tape it at the front here. I can't be bothered to go and get staples, so I'm going to leave it, but yeah, that is how I make the box. Oh, my mum's brought me a stapler. She's just here all the time. She's great. She's like my crew. So you put staples in the top there, which is, see where those lines are, so you put staples in there, and then what you do is you put it to the side of your cake box, and then it's very hard to do with one hand, but you go like so, and then you staple. The stapler isn't very good. God, I'm like wrestling with this. That didn't work. There we go. Right, let me do the other side and then I'll show you what I've done. There we go. Right. Right, so you staple it at the side here and the side there. You can tape these bits down, it's not the end of the world if you don't. I'm going to do them in the morning when I cling film it, and then like I say, you close it and then you just put cling film over it like so. I've stapled that really unevenly, but I'm not too fussed. So yeah, that is how you package cakes. Hope that made sense. I'm just going to leave that for the morning, I think. So I'll put it on the side behind me. Perfect. I work from home. My dad's getting so fed up of the mixer going all the time. Can't wait to move out and go full time. You're trying to help me register my business in July. Thank you so much. Honestly, I feel like he might seem fed up, but as soon as you move out, he'll probably miss the mixer being on. I think my parents probably hate all the, you know, the washing up and everything that goes on, but from like all the bakers that I speak to, it's usually that like someone says that they don't like it, but they might not actually mind. I mean, it's frustrating in the moment, but as long as you're like tidying all the time and making sure that you're not making any extra mess, and I feel like he won't mind it too much. I'm sure that it wouldn't be too bad. I feel like working from home in general, like everyone working from home, they're not used to spending that much time with each other, so I feel like people will get annoyed with each other anyway. So maybe it's just that. Maybe you're just not used to all being like working at home together. But yeah, I'm sure that it will work out for you. I mean, I would like to move out, but in terms of, because I want to own a house, like get a mortgage, I don't want to rent, I need to wait 2 years because I need 2 years of like being tax registered because I'm self-employed. So yeah, that's what I'm waiting for, and I'm just going to save in the meantime. So that is my plan. Right, so I'm going to answer this last one and then I must go to bed. Actually, I'm not even going to bed. I've got to finish some brownies and some cupcakes, but it's not related to the live, so I'm going to do that off camera. But I will be actually like kind of finishing the live after this question. I started in a home kitchen, but I eventually moved into a commercial place in Hertfordshire. So amazing to see how many small businesses are thriving, and it's great to see amazing work you're doing. Keep it up. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Yeah, I did consider a commercial kitchen, but I did look around and I couldn't find any in my local area. I've seen loads of people with them, but they're all, quite a few of them are up north or in big cities. I haven't seen any local to me, so I think it just depends where you're based. If I could get a commercial kitchen, that would be ideal because it's like an in-between of getting a shop. You're not getting a shop yet, but it gives you an external place to work. But yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about that. I do quite like being at home and like being able to be home, like on your breaks you're at home, rather than being like somewhere else. But yeah, it just depends. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this live and that you enjoy seeing the cake. If you want to see the final photos, they will be on my Instagram tomorrow, once she's collected it, so maybe like midday they'll be on my Instagram. So if you check the Instagram in the description tomorrow, then you'll be able to see what the cake looks like with like a nice background and the topper and everything like that. But yeah, look at artisan workshops. I'm based in the farm shop in Tring, sorry. Tring is not far from me actually. I'm based in Aylesbury, so Tring is like maybe like 20 minutes from me, so that's not actually far. I might have to look at that, thank you. But yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to end the live because I'm really tired and I've still got quite a lot to do. I am getting up quite early in the morning, probably like 7, if I don't finish everything tonight. If I finish everything tonight, then I can get up at 8, so that's maybe the plan, if I can finish everything in the next half an hour or so. We will see. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye!